October 1st. I need a motion to approve the minutes of August 28th.
So moved.
Stroud, Mr. Dickinson, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, move right into the action agenda there.
Good morning. I have one resolution request this morning. This is for the RFP for our commercials and our photography. We've contracted with Working Pictures for the last 4 years. We did send out the RFP, and Working Pictures was the only entity to respond. So there's a little bit of backup material there. The price did increase a little bit from 4 years ago, but we are happy with the work that they've done for us. I'll have to factor that increase in price into my budget, but the way Peter and I read it, they would produce one seasonal, we've done the summer and the fall television commercials, so they're 15, 30, and 1 minute video on demand. And then they've additionally done the micro videos for us, so the ice bars, factory outlet shopping, there are a couple more. So we would definitely do the seasonal video, and then maybe if we need to keep our costs down in the first year until I budget for a little bit more, they would do up to 4 more of those little micro videos. So maybe we would do 1 or 2 micro videos the first year, and then in the following years we would increase that budget line a little bit. So it's an up to $180,000.
I'll move that.
Mr. Dickinson?
Second. I have a couple questions. How much did it increase?
$30,000.
It increased 30,000? What was their budget last year?
It's been $75,000 for 4 years.
Okay. So it's 105. Is this for 4 years?
Actually, it's up to 108, so it was 30 and change.
Is that for 4 years?
Correct.
I just want to make one comment. Their spots that they do are excellent. Very well done. You really get your juices flowing. I don't know how effective they are or where they're showing them, but the quality of their work is excellent.
Well,
Chairman, thank you. Just one question. Is there something that we did in our proposal that only got us one entity to respond? I would think that, representing Lake George and doing this work would be attractive to more than one.
It was almost exactly the same as the RFP we sent out 4 years ago, and we had multiple responses. The only thing I changed this year is that we wanted an adventure camera, which just a little bit more versatility out and in the field. But otherwise, it was exactly the same as it was 4 years ago. My only one responded.
I would rather see more than one bid for something like this. I think it would be attractive for some agencies to try to do, but
Don't get 'em
that's
no
what we
more.
have.
well, fortunately, it was one that we used already for 4 years, so
Exactly.
we got a good track record. I don't know how many did you send out, Joe? How many places?
I'm sorry, I would have to check with purchasing on how many went out,
All right.
which I could certainly do. But we have won awards with this agency, and if you will just bear with me for 30 seconds, I'll just show you, I'm sure that I showed you this before, the 30-second spot, and then I'll answer Supervisor Dickinson's question. So that was the Friends spot. We have a family spot, and then we have another with couples. So those are a little bit, they're on cable television, but really they kind of bumper the morning and the evening news because people are cutting cords and getting away from television, and a lot of it is online. It's on social media, it's on digital, it's on the pre-roll before your YouTube videos. So it's out there in many places. So I say television and commercials, but it's much more than that. So we did win an Addy Award for that, the Advertising Federation. for that entire fall campaign.
I must be watching the right channel.
All right, we had a motion, we had a
It's
second.
around the news.
We had a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Move on, Joe.
Okay, so we will review our budget. The bottom line is, oh, I do have one extra. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
So on the first page, the bottom line is that it's really very much the same as last year. Within the budget, a little bit up, a little bit down, and it's kind of leveled out. Let's go to the second page, which happens to be revenue. We would be hotel room occupancy. Revenue $2,337,000 would come from tax collections. $60,000 is what's generated from our ads in our travel guide, and $90,000 is matching funds that we receive each year.
From the state.
Correct, from New York State. The next two pages are our expenses, which are pretty self-explanatory and have not changed terribly much. We did lower our postage $35,000. We deleted one position from our budget, which was a part-time position that had carried over from when we had a part-time person up at the factory outlets. We did carry that over last year, didn't know if we would use that anywhere. We could not spend that money, and it did roll back into the reserve, so I'm going to take that out of the budget this year. I added a little bit to our digital and social media line, but I might end up using that for working pictures, depending on how much of that 108 we decide to spend with them.
And what's going on with Ellen's position?
Ellen's position, I have 50 applications. So Paul and I are reviewing those right now. And a lot of them look like they're quite qualified. So we did change, Ellen was a tourism specialist, and we changed that to a communications assistant, someone that would be similar to what Eric is doing in creating content and social media and out in the community photographing, whether it's events or anything that's going on.
So are they in Ellen's price range or?
Actually, I think it came in a little bit, the grade level is higher than what Ellen was, but because she had been here so long, her salary was a little bit higher. So
Similar.
it's very similar.
Great.
Code number 470 is the contact code, and if you flip back 2 pages, there's an outline of all of the contracts that we have. Adirondack Region Tourism Council, Ad Workshop, they do our website, that's $60,000. Here you'll see working pictures at $75,000, so we'll have to increase that depending on how much we move forward with them. Smith Travel reports that we receive. New York welcomes you. I don't know if you remember, about a year ago, Josiah Brown came in and made a presentation, and he travels around the state and represents us. All the rooms, again, the analytical report, brochure distribution. On the bottom of that page is a list of all of the locations where we distribute our travel guides. And Gina from the Chamber CBB did ask me, we kind of compared lists so that we didn't duplicate distributing travel guides at the same or very similar locations.
Cool.
So a little bit more here. We do hire freelancers a little bit to maybe go out and take some pictures or write some content for us. Social media influencers are, that's the new travel media, the way things are moving. The travel guide, even though the cost is $82,000, $60,000 of that is offset by advertising. A little bit of Chinese translation there.
What was that for?
We have, Tanya is just creating one single cell sheet that she would take with her to IPW, which is the International Powwow, or anytime there's another international show. So it's a fold-out document. We haven't had it printed yet. It is translated. We'd also like to have it translated in German and French. And we would also take that same translated text and put it on our website so that we would have a landing page for China, Germany, and French Canadian. It would be French Canadian. And the last code, which is where most of the money is, .481, that's our promotion code. So we'll just click that slide. $1,300,000. The lion's share of that is the media buy with Ad Workshop. And if you remember at the beginning of the year, the whole team came in from Ad Workshop, and the commercials that are produced, or the videos that are produced by Working Pictures, will be placed by Ad Workshop. So they will place them on the television or the digital or all of the websites for us.
Joanne, are they going to be here, if you don't mind?
In the spring?
Are they going to come here again early next year?
Absolutely.
They're going to talk about how we measure the success?
Good, are you?
No matter what.
Yes, sir, they will be here. So then I just broke out a couple of the larger ticket items. There are many small things in this category, but print ads, that's a combination of a little bit consumer and a very little bit that's Motor Coach International, social media, and then, it just kind of bulleted a few other things that fall into that category. So that is, well, on the last page of my budget, I guess you'll just see that the budget or the salary items, we'll leave that to the budget officer, and he'll make any salary changes before he brings the budget to the full board. And that part-time position of $9,000 will come out of that salary schedule.
The translations you've done, is that, I assume that's based on some kind of analysis of potential people coming?
Absolutely. Well, we chose China first as
Right.
a market where I Love New York has a presence in China. They have 3 offices. They also have a presence in Germany and in Montreal. So those are the 3 that we'll start with.
Okay,
Mhm.
great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Joe? Yes, Mr. Mayor, yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on your revenue page, at page 3, I look at your actual posted revenues for 2018 was $2,812,181.31. Year-to-date, you've collected $2,780,000, and change. You're requesting a decrease of about $300,000 in revenue. Why, if you've exceeded your revenues for this calendar year already, why would you be posting revenues $300,000 less? Is that underestimated, or what would be the reason for that?
Is it because of actually tax, you have to go back 2 years? Or a year?
Well, you gotta make your revenue has to equal your expenses.
Well, I understand that. It's reflected in your proposal. I'm just questioning whether your revenues that you are estimating for 2020 are underestimated. Because you've exceeded your revenues already for the calendar year.
Well, the 2018 amount would be an actual figure. So,
Okay,
of
so
what
if
was
you-
collected.
If you use that number, you're still $400,000 light on the revenue side.
I see what you're saying, but being that this is an actual number of what was received, we're not using all of that money
Gotcha. I understand.
for 2020.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the sub-department on here, 0001, tourism, there's another sub-department for OCTAX, and if you add up the budgeted, the budget request on the revenues for both of those, it'll total out to what's on the 5-year projection. So it's just a question of, for budgeting purposes, the first thing that you do is you balance the expense in the tourism side with the revenue, and then the remaining revenue that you expect to get goes over in the OCTAX side.
And then does it revert back to the fund balance for the
Yes.
occupancy tax?
Yes.
Okay. Reserve. Right.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Privilege of the floor there, Mark.
All right, Joe, you have anything else?
I do have a couple of other things. So let's go, I have a page on here. I need to make a clarification from last time when Tanya was here and made a presentation. We talked about purchasing Tour Tracker Pro, and this is just a little housekeeping item that it was referred to as a software program in the minutes, and it is actually a one-time report. So Tanya will buy a 2019 report first thing in 2020. So it's not software that she will work with continuously. It's a report that she will subscribe to and receive in January or February.
Joanne, if you don't mind, that's a multi-year report, right? So we're going to go back a few years to show our growth and...
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yep. Something that has come up a couple of times that I wanted to bring to the committee is cross-promotion with Washington County. So a couple of years ago, Jean and I and a couple of us sat down at the table with the folks from Washington County when they were kind of in flux a little bit, and Christine Hoffer was their TPA at the time, and she stepped aside and they didn't have anyone in place. So they're contracting with Andrew Meter now, who also works with the Film Festival in Glens Falls. And the thought is that they have some events that we don't have, i.e. agri-tourism events. And we have something that they don't have, which are rooms. So I think all I'm asking for at this point is just conceptual approval to start that conversation. I don't have any money in my budget to do, to spend dollars to say, go to Washington County. But I imagine that it could be social media, and it could just be sharing their events, even if we share those events organically, which means we don't spend any money on it. It would share those events with our followers, and then if they come and stay, and they come to, maybe the way we word it is that we would love them to stay with us in Warren County, and then there are some other options for you that maybe you can't see here in Warren County. Apple picking or fiber tour. Birding. But we are funded by Warren County tax dollars, so before I had that conversation, I wanted to see what the committee thought about that.
I don't have any problem at all doing that. I think that's a good move, all the way around.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. We're doing some mutual things up at Jenkinsville and Queensbury and the Golden Goal with major soccer tournaments. Doug Miller is doing some mutual things where, a lot of Washington County people, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Now, we've been talking with them over the last 2 or 3 years, but it never really went, so we're just trying to push it a little more and see how it works. Gina, back.
Would you be able to look at all the rooms tracker and just see what's out there for Washington County, just in case you get asked that question? So you have that in your back pocket?
I don't subscribe to that, but I can
But,
look into that.
just through that, just to see, or to even check Airbnb of what's in Washington County, just in case you get asked the question, you'll be able to answer it like that.
Sure.
Swap?
Yeah, I was just curious, what time of year is this? Is this summer when we typically are booked and we can't find rooms for other events? Or?
I haven't sat down to really talk with Andrew, but I'm thinking, I don't think it'll be 100 of their events, but their top events, when I look at my events, I look at my top 10 or 12, so we can kind of balance that
There's
a
a lot
little
of
bit.
fall events.
Yes.
Is that- So shoulder season kind of stuff, which is really the stuff we need to start working on. Good.
All right.
Okay, with the committee. Okay, I will talk to
Yeah.
Andrew and then come back and update you on some of our thoughts. Just bear with, I know you've been here for a little while this morning, but a couple of slides to share with you go ahead and click. Okay, so the STR report did go out yesterday. So STR and ATR is all the rooms. So I'll take this opportunity to remind you that next Thursday evening at 6 p.m. over at the Lake Luzerne Town Hall, a gal from STR will be here to make a presentation on the state of Warren County compared to with some of our peer markets, compared to New York State, compared to the U.S. She's from Saratoga, so she knows the area and can speak to it. Went to Cornell University. So I welcome you to attend that, and we'll get a little bit more insight on the whole Smith trend.
That's on the 10th, correct?
The 10th is next Thursday?
It's a Thursday, yeah.
The Lake Luzerne Town
It's
Hall.
actually in the senior center, the Lake Luzerne Town Hall, down back.
At 6?
Mhm.
Thank you.
So every year, in July or August, we receive the Tourism Economics Report. It was a little bit late in coming this year, but my chapter is for the Adirondacks, so there are some good numbers to report in terms of growth and how Warren County compared to other counties within the Adirondacks, so I just wanted to share that with you. So $1.5 billion in traveler spending in the Adirondacks, and Warren County accounts for 42% of that. So $629 million in direct traveler spending in Warren County. The next slide breaks out where that spending takes place. So lodging, recreation, certainly lodging is the lion's share with 41%, but the breakdown across the board, and Warren County ranks highest in each of those columns, in each of those categories. So we talk a lot, well, let's see, is there one more? And I did want to point out this tax savings per household at $2,840. It's just another important number for all of us and all of our constituents to realize how important tourism is to us as a county and as residents. So we talk a lot about ROI, and I do not have an absolute be-all and end-all ROI. We know that. So I looked at the numbers in this Tourism Economics Report, and I looked at budget, which is absolute. This is my budget for 2018. And I took the liberty of doing that for Essex County. So it's apples to apples. It's tourism economics. It's actual budget for the year 2018. So in terms of spending, our Warren County traveler spending of $628 million versus Essex County's $494, I think we're getting a pretty good bang for our buck. So we're often compared to Essex County, and they do rally together with the other couple of counties, Franklin and Hamilton, to de-roost, but we're still quite a bit further ahead of them in terms of traveler spending based on our budget.
Just a quick question, is that just your budget, or is it, I thought we brought in $4 million in act tax this year?
That is my department.
Okay.
So on the next slide, I did factor in the CDD funding, because certainly that's promoting the overall county, so we're still getting a really good return there. So I just wanted to share that there's much, much more to that 20 or 30 page report. I don't have a final version of that yet, but when I do, I'm happy to share that with the community.
So you have-
Sure. And I think that might be all I have.
Okay, any questions for Joanne? Anybody to the public have any questions today?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're not public. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you probably explained.
Can you speak up a little? I can't.
Traveler spending amount, where does that dollar figure come from?
This organization is Tourism Economics, and they do this for New York State every year. And the categories, we broke out the categories there of lodging, da-da-da-da-da. There's a whole, I have some backup on their, the rationale behind where those numbers come from that I can share with you.
Does that jive with what we get in sales tax? spending, aren't all of those categories sales tax level?
No.
No, they're not.
No.
I mean, I could go back and look, I haven't ever done that now. So I think it might be-
Because, you know, with the discussion about sales tax and people saying 40% of our sales tax is generated from tourism, is that reflected in what the numbers that we're seeing here? Okay. Curious, but thanks for doing that analysis of the ROI, I think that was really insightful, I mean.
And there are, you know, I can look at counties around the state, but I was, you know, it's preliminary right now. They said that I could certainly share it with my committee. So I'll try to get my hands on Finger Lakes and perhaps Saratoga.
Ed Bartholomew had it in his EDC report yesterday, same
Okay.
numbers.
Right.
Yep.
Do we know what the level of confidence is of that, plus or minus, margin to bear?
0.
0?
It's only as good as people put it out. State must like it, that's what they use for the government.
Well, they paid for it,
Yeah.
definitely.
Huh? Amy, I'm sorry.
I just wondering about working pictures. Would there be a way that each municipality or town could have a cache of updated pictures that shows you know, their areas and then,
Mhm.
you know, and I'm really working on, I think a picture, you know, tells a story certainly, and if we can keep our pictures updated,
Mhm.
you know, I think that goes a long way.
So I do, in addition to the video, I do have skills, photography skills, and I know that they were at the Hyde and they've been in downtown Glens Falls. The position that I'm hoping to hire, that I will hire, I'd really like to look for someone with strong photography skills for that reason,
Yeah.
and then I won't have to contract out for a photographer. So we know that we need good photography. And that goes back to, you know, the last meeting where we approved some money for the IT storage upgrade, and that is to help us organize that photo library and archive.
No, I think we do have an Instagram and social media.
And you need those really nice, vibrant pictures.
Thank you.
We're referring to thank you, Chairman. I have a poster in my office of each municipality, and it focuses on one location or site or activity. Is that what we're talking about, or?
The ones that are...
It was a poster done probably a half dozen years ago.
Oh, like the ones in the hallway?
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, I guess so, yeah, but
But they haven't been upgraded in years. That was done probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay,
No, I
yeah.
was talking more online. you know,
Online,
Yeah,
okay.
that's-
That, you know, there-
the newest
everyone
stuff.
has an updated
Yeah.
picture of their community.
Okay? Any other? Yes,
Move.
move to adjourn? Now I get a second? Mr.
No
Stroud?
reason I can't.
All in favor?
Adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.